Welcome to another leathercraft tutorial by mprleatherworks. In this tutorial I will be showing you how to make a leather tote bag using chrome tanned leather. To make this bag you will need a pattern from mprleatherworks, which can either be laser cut or hand cut. The links to the pattern files are in the description below this video. The project requirements for this build is some chrome tanned leather, 1 magnetic closure, 4 O-rings or D-rings for the straps, 4mm rope that does not stretch, and general leathercraft tools and supplies. To start, if hand cutting the leather, follow the instructions in the pattern and punch all the stitching holes and then cut the leather to size. If laser cutting, cut the entire pattern out as per the DXF file on your laser machine. I will start with the main bag and later in the video I will show the straps. We need to prepare some pieces by skiving some sections. These 2 pieces are for the inner pockets in the bag. Skive the bottom edges of these pockets. These 2 pieces will form the closing flap and there is no skiving needed here. The large oval is the base of the bag and no skiving is necessary. The 4 larger pieces will form the body of the bag and will need to be skived at the top. You will see 2 rows of stitching holes at the top. This part will be folded over to form a hem. For the assembly of the body there are 4 rectangles, 2 are wide and 2 are narrow. The narrow rectangles will always overlap so that the narrow rectangles are on top of the wider rectangles. Start by folding the top hem over and then stitching across the top using a running stitch. Start stitching from the 4th hole from the edge, then stitch along the top, leaving a thread tail at the start which will be tied off later. Continue stitching along the top until you reach 4 stitches from the edge. Then attach the loop with the O-ring and the next rectangular piece of leather. I will show you exactly how it is done on the next loop. Remember that the narrow rectangle is always placed on top of the wider rectangle. Once you have reached the 4th to last stitching hole, lay down the next rectangle and also get the strap for the O-ring. The center hole of the strap will align with the join of the 2 rectangles. Make sure to add the O-rings here. I am illustrating the stitching procedure here, layer by layer, for you to see how it all comes together. It is not complicated. You are just continuing with the running stitch and making sure that the stitching holes where the leather overlaps and the center stitching hole of the strap are aligned. Stitch until you reach the next join, and follow the same method to join the rectangles and the O-ring strap. Do this all the way around the project until the bag is joined together as one. When you have stitched all across, you can tie up the ends of the stitching threads in any number of ways you see fit. Use the O-ring loops to help hide the ends that you tie off. The project should now look as follows. The next step is to start stitching down the sides, and here we will also stitch the inside pockets into place. The same method is used with all 4 seams. Start a running stitch from the base of the O-ring strap. Then stitch a couple of stitches until you reach the stitch where the top of the pocket will be. To find the stitching hole, place the pocket over the rectangle so that the bottoms of each piece is aligned. Then put the pocket in place on the inside of the bag and stitch through all 3 pieces of leather to continue the seam as well as attaching the pocket in place. Stitch all the way to the bottom of the bag and tie off the end of the thread at the bottom of the bag. Do the same for all 4 seams. Once completed, you should have 2 pockets on the inside of the bag and all 4 seams are joined together. The next step is to finish stitching the O-ring loops. I have removed the O-rings here in this video because I am using rings that can open and close. But if you are using solid O-rings, your O-rings will still be in place at this point. When stitching the bag seams with a pocket, you left a tail of thread near the O-ring strap. Use this tail and tie it to another piece of thread, which we will now use to stitch the O-ring strap. When tying the threads together, make sure that the knot is close to the leather so that when we start stitching, the knot will be hidden by the strap, as shown here in the video. I have deliberately made this first knot too far away in order to illustrate what to look for. Then I made a second knot, which is what we are looking for. Now stitch the part as shown here, using a running stitch all around the strap. When you reach the end, stitch the last stitch through one layer of leather only, then tie off the ends by weaving the end through the existing stitches, then cutting the thread. Do this for all 4 straps. Now we will attach the base of the bag. Refer to your pattern and use the dotted line on the pattern to find the first stitching hole on the oval. This hole should align with the seam of the bag's body. Use a running stitch and stitch all around the oval, and when you reach the end, tie off the ends of the threads. Turn the bag the right way around and form the leather by pressing the seam with your fingers. At this stage, the bag should look like this. When I made the first bag and this video, I made a mistake by punching a hole for the magnet in the wrong place. But in the pattern, it is correct and should sit a bit further down from the top of the bag. We are going to stitch the handles for the bag next. Each handle will include a piece of rope to help strengthen the handle and minimize stretching of the leather. I used rope that I bought from a marine supply store. It is about 4 millimeters thick and it does not stretch at all. Prepare the leather by skiving it in the sections as shown in the video. This is to help the fold of the leather. Then apply adhesive to the entire piece of leather. Lay the rope onto the glue in position. Starting from the center, fold the leather over the rope and ensure that the stitching holes of the leather align all along the length. Use stitching markers or clips to help keep the leather in place. Wait for the glue to set a bit, then lightly hammer and shape the handle as shown here. Allow the glue to dry completely before moving on to the next step, which is the stitching. When stitching the handle, you will stitch it to the O-ring already attached to your bag. I am using other D-rings for the purpose of this video tutorial. Before stitching, you could burnish the edges. Follow the stitching as illustrated here in the video. A picture speaks more than 1,000 words. When starting, leave a longish tail for the thread, longer than the one on the video. This tail will be worked into the handle and tied off at the end. When you get to the other end of the handle, make sure you fold the leather over to the same side as you did the first one, so that the folds are to the inside of the bag. Finally, we're going to add the closing flap. Use the thinner part of the magnetic closure and attach it to the leather in the hole as indicated on the pattern. Now apply glue to the leather, but do not glue the end opposite to the magnet. I did not illustrate it well in this clip, but continue watching this video to see how it is fully assembled, then it will make sense. Once you have applied the glue, place the two pieces of leather together, ensuring that your stitching holes are aligned. Then start stitching the two pieces together, starting as shown here in the video. Stitch all along until you reach the opposite end. Then you will start to attach the flap to the bag. Open the flap where you have not glued and have not stitched, and place it over the bag by aligning the stitching holes. You can also glue this section. Then continue your stitch all the way around, then across the top of the bag. Lastly, attach the remaining section of the magnetic clip to the bag itself. Once in place, you can also add a piece of leather to the back of the magnetic closure, as I have done here. Congratulations, the bag is complete. We hope you enjoyed this video, and we hope you enjoy making these tote bags. Feel free to share the photos of your tote bag with us on our social media. You can find the links in the description. We look forward to seeing you in the next leathercraft tutorial.